Mr. Wicks, you've spoken about educating youth regarding food and housing in secure situations and focusing on mission work in those fields. Can you speak about how you have done that and how you've done that so that you don't fall into that problematic uh, top-down approach to missions that has largely been debunked as really wrong, but is also a really easy thing for people to fall into nonetheless.
Yeah, I think that when we do that, it has to come from intentional education that precedes direct service work. And so anytime that I'm putting together a program, and I've led a number of in-person programs as well as the digital offerings that Incredible Aid is doing today, I ensure that participants understand that engaging in mission work does not start when you get in the car to drive to a service site, and it doesn't end when you get home and take a shower and go to bed at the end of the day. That anytime we're going to do service work or radical accompaniment work, uh, that it has to be preceded by education, so we understand the situations we're walking into and have some baseline comprehension of the challenges that are being faced by a population that we're interacting with. And I think this really goes back to radical accompaniment, which we were talking about earlier. The idea that relationships are so fundamental to understanding someone else's needs. You mentioned the top-down sort of approach to serving others. What you're referencing is this idea that we come in with a savior complex, right?
Mhm.
Like I have answers for you that are going to solve your problems, and that I come and I give, and I feel good about giving, and then I go home feeling like a saint because I gave. That's not relational. It doesn't include any specific mention of reciprocity, which I think is really important. That our participants who go and do direct service actions should understand that they are receiving as much as they are giving. They may not be giving tangible in kind, excuse me, they may not be receiving tangible in kind goods, but they're receiving relationships and they're receiving understandings of worlds that they may have no sort of conception of. So I think that piece is really important to precede any kind of missional work. And then afterwards, the reflection piece. Integrate what we've seen and experienced into our learnings and a broader conception of the world. When we talk about doing that in the digital space, I think the digital space actually allows us to do education in some really neat ways using digital tools, but it also means that we're doing a lot of focus on education itself as opposed to direct service work. And I
Mhm.
see those things as complementary. I don't think that we are doing a disservice to mission work by spending additional time on the educational aspects. So I would urge youth group leaders who are thinking about mission work and how they can do it appropriately and in ways that support kind of holistic faith formation through the process, that they do it in ways which encourage understanding and relationships and education as the precursor to actually being out in the field doing work.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying about the educational component being so crucial that precedes any getting in the car, getting on the plane, and should follow afterwards because it's a more humble approach. Honestly, it's what Jesus did, right? Who would consistently go and meet people where they were and would just ask question after question, not imposing presuppositions upon a situation, but would really accompany, right? And would try to understand before seeking to be understood.
Yeah, and that's true, I think, not just in sort of academic concepts of how poverty works
Right.
or how climate change works. Some of it's physical, practical training too, right? Like if we can teach kids how to hammer and use a saw before they show up on the job site for the first day, your site hosts are really going to appreciate that on your habitat site or wherever you end up volunteering. Um, Otherwise, they're spending their time teaching basic skills that we could be doing during our Sunday night youth group meetings. And there's a real cost to the agencies that we partner with because our mission work should be based on partnerships too, that we're going and working with other people that are focused on this as their ongoing call and relationship, especially when we talk about short-term missions. So if we're not doing the work to properly repair our skill set in addition to our understanding, we're underserving the communities that we're going into.